What if I don't need him to take care of everything? What if I have my own too? Why should I take it?
And that's great. I'm not mad at you. Go for that. But guess what? In America and in North America in general, women are the ones who are dying alone more than ever. So we can say this stuff and say, I'm going to take it. Go ahead. No one's going to stop you from making your choices. But then also don't complain when you hit late 40s or whatever, you don't find somebody. And I'm like, listen, have you guys been settling on the shit that doesn't matter? And they say, no, I'll never settle. Yep. You know, there was a study that came out, bro. And the study said, I think it polled like 300 women, 300 men. Mm-hmm. And it asked the 300 women, if you asked the 300 men, it said, if you had 80% of what you wanted from a wife, would you take her? And you guys are like, fuck yeah, that's amazing. Ask the same question to ladies. 80% of what you wanted, they were like, I will never settle.
Welcome back to Male Choice, where we're cutting through the noise and getting real about the truths no one else dares to speak. Today, we're calling out the nonsense. Because it's time someone holds women accountable for their actions and the unrealistic expectations they've been pushing on men for far too long. They're all about climbing that corporate ladder, right? Just like in most of the Western world, women are blindly following the feminist playbook, strutting around like boss babes without ever stopping to consider the role men play in their lives. Who needs men when you've got a corner office and a power suit, right? It's almost as if they think being a boss babe is the pinnacle of existence, completely overlooking the value that men bring to the table. But hey, at least they've got those boardroom meetings to keep them company.
So I'm at his house, I sit down to take a poop, right? I go to wipe, there's no toilet paper. I'm like, damn, hey babe, could you please grab me some toilet paper? He said no. I already told you that bathroom's out of toilet paper, sorry. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot you told me this bathroom's out of toilet paper. Regardless, could you please just run downstairs and grab me some real fast? He said no. I already told you, like, you're gonna have to figure it out. Like, I told you already. And then he starts ignoring me. Like, I'm like, hey, please, he's just not responding. Like, he's just ignoring me. I hear his phone, like, scrolling through fucking videos. And I get pissed. I'm like, okay, well, if you're not gonna go, I'm gonna start screaming for help. Like, I'm gonna start screaming. He's still ignoring me. I go, help me to the neighbors. Because I'm like, bro, I need help.
I think that most men would agree that her boyfriend not wanting to give her toilet paper in this situation is a huge red flag. Because good men that love you will go beyond what they would do for themselves because they love you. And in this situation, who knows the full story? Because there's always three sides to every story. Bottom line, whether that's because you treat him terribly or because he just enjoys treating you poorly, is that man doesn't care that much for you.
They're completely deluded by feminist propaganda, aren't they? The most extreme forms of feminism proudly proclaim that as women climb to the top, becoming CEOs and key decision makers in massive corporations and governments, they'll be living life to the fullest, completely free. But here's the reality check they conveniently ignore. Eventually, these women start to feel that ticking clock, realizing they're speeding toward an age where having children becomes a distant dream. And that nagging feeling, yeah, it's going to catch up with them, whether they like it or not. But wait, there's more. As they age, they'll find it incredibly tough to land a partner. Why? Because men, shockingly, prefer younger, more feminine women. Who could have guessed? But sure, keep chasing that corporate ladder, keep believing that you can have it all, while the reality of biology quietly creeps up on you. It's almost as if the fantasy they've been sold doesn't quite line up with the facts. But hey, who needs facts when you've got feminism to tell you you're invincible?
Whoever fought for women to get jobs. Why? Why did we do that? I am so tired. I want to just put my feet up. Like, I am... Oh my god.
It's Susan B. Anthony, man. Everybody, puts her up on a pedestal. She ruined it for all of us. Somebody said, we drown so CEO boss babes can swim. Somebody else said, bro, I was literally talking about this today. They are going on the list with Eve. Right, at the moment, I'd rather be a stay-at-home mom and do chores. Yeah, well, shocker. That's what we're kind of designed.
Even if every woman suddenly decided to go back to being traditional and genuinely meant it, the damage they've done is beyond repair. We've got generations of kids raised by screens, fed cheap junk instead of real food, growing up without a shred of the self-discipline needed to navigate life. And let's not forget the women who sold off all the land and businesses they got in divorce settlements, leaving most people today as nothing more than indentured servants. What did it take to get us here? Over 30 years of women shaming, ignoring, falsely accusing, blaming, trashing and abandoning men, just because we're men. You've forced men to adapt to a world where they're no longer needed or wanted. Congratulations, ladies. You've created a society where men have had to figure out how to survive in a world that's constantly trying to push them out. But hey, as long as you got yours, right?
No, men are weird. Stop talking to women you don't know.
Oh, single men. Why are you don't pursue anymore? What's up? No.
I hate when men approach women.
So should a guy ever approach a girl in public?
I don't think so, no.
This year, I decided I'm going to go the full year without using any dating apps. However, I still want to meet people. So tonight, it's Friday, I'm going to go out by myself.
Just passing a beer garden that was full of people with their friends. It's okay. I don't know what I thought. I genuinely thought that I was gonna meet people. I'm gonna go again. I'm gonna keep trying. But that was really hard.
Is it too direct for like a stranger to come off the street or in a restaurant to say, oh, I think you're really interesting and get your number there? Is that?
Of course, because I had this type of situations. It's weird. Because do not approach a woman who did not inspire that.
This question is for the guys. So, don't men approach women anymore?
So what's inappropriate? You at your game, you at a game, watching your son play. Is that inappropriate?
If you're not interested, it's always inappropriate. So the thing is, it's true. If you're into somebody, it'll be the greatest thing you've ever heard. If it's a guy...
Women want a man to fill her cup, even when his is bone dry, and then she acts shocked when he goes elsewhere to get it refilled. And the irony, she expects to get hers topped up somewhere else after she's drained him completely. But when he steps out to take care of his own needs, suddenly, she's the victim. It's almost like she thinks she's entitled to endless refills, no matter how empty she leaves him.
He's not paying all of your bills and you are not in any relationship with him.
So if a woman insists on paying her own bills, even if she considers herself to be in a relationship with someone, according to this person, they're not actually in a relationship because he's not their sugar daddy.
Why the hell would you give him a full access to you if he's the only person who benefits from that relationship?
And how does that make sense?
Men benefit just by being seen with you.
Men. Did you know that? You benefit just by being seen with a woman.
Just by sharing your energy, your precious feminine energy with him and your beauty, you're giving them extra confidence and ego boost. You're just giving them social and personal promotion for free, just by giving them an access to you. And another thing is that why would you give him husband privileges if he is not even able to cover all of your bills?
Some women actually don't like being dependent on men to pay their bills. They prefer to do it on their own, whether or not they're in a relationship with them or not.
He's the only person that benefits from that, not you.
Oh dear.
Men fall in love by investing in you. And if you don't make them invest in you, then sooner or later, they will stop respecting you.
Let's hear it for transactional relationships, ladies and gentlemen.
Is him paying your bills. It's just bare minimum. It's your non-negotiable. It's 2024 and we need to become a little bit more selfish.
Remember, the moral of this story is, in order to be respected as a woman, you need to get paid. No.
Men these days aren't just expected to meet one benchmark. They've got to hit every single one. Instead of wanting a man who's loving and loyal, women now prefer someone who can provide a lavish lifestyle and look good while doing it. And when that interest inevitably fades, cue the very profitable divorce. And then it's on to the next. It's almost like relationships have become a game of who can cash out the most. If anything, it's high time women start considering approaching men instead, because this ridiculous checklist they've got going is getting old real fast.
Me during the earthquake so that she doesn't get the ick. This is literally what men have to do. These are the hoops they have to jump through because of the ridiculous standards that women put on them on social media. Somebody commented and said, new ick, standing still during an earthquake. Somebody else said, what earthquake? I didn't feel shit.
Why would I bother approaching a woman these days? Even the ones who seem to compliment you just do it to lure you into a false sense of security before they hit you with an insult. It's happened to me so many times that when a woman actually gives me a genuine compliment or shows interest without immediately following it up with something nasty, I can't even believe it's real. I end up so thrown off that I don't know what to say, so I just ignore them rather than risk being insulted again. Honestly, I'm glad for this trend where men are minding their own business, turning gay or doing whatever they want to do. It's good that men don't approach women anymore. The relationship between men and women is so messed up, filled with so much hatred and misunderstanding that neither side needs to be chasing the other. We should be focusing inward, working on ourselves, and just showing basic kindness and compassion to all beings, instead of getting tangled up in this nonsense. And don't even get me started on recording in gyms. I've been saying this for years. Ban it. I'll never forget the time I was working out one evening, just trying to switch dumbbells, and I unknowingly walked through the view of some girl recording herself. She got so angry she jumped up and ran at me, yelling. At the time, I had no idea why she was coming at me or that she was recording, so I reacted to protect myself. She ended up on the ground, and later claimed I had punched her for no reason. She even called the cops, but thank God there was a staff member at the gym who showed the police the security footage. They saw that she moved toward me in a threatening way, making it easy to interpret her actions as a potential attack. In the end, they told her it would be nearly impossible to prove anything in court, and she got her membership cancelled. I got an apology from the managers and 3 months of free workouts. It's situations like this that make me glad men are steering clear.
I am worth more than the bare minimum. I am worth more than a phone call or a text every few days. I am worth what I give and put out, and not that kind of putting out. I mean the time, the energy, the love, the kindness, the compassion. That all comes from a genuine place. So yeah, high-value women are valued, because then that means we're high maintenance, and that takes more time, more energy, and more effort. A high-value man would want to put in the energy and the effort. So even though you may think you are high value, you're really not, because you're not going for what is better, you're just going for what is easier. I'm not bitter or angry. I'm just tired. Tired of being stood up. Tired of being lied to. Tired of being ghosted. Tired of being misled. Tired of feeling things that are not being reciprocated. It's exhausting. There are some good men and women out there. But you guys gotta show up and just be yourself and put in the energy and put in the time and put in the commitment. If you're not willing to do that, then don't bother. It's okay if you don't want to. Just leave people alone.
This queen keeps spouting the same old nonsense about how much she's worth and how she demands more than the minimum. Well, guess what? If you think you're worth that much, set your price as high as you want, queen. But here's the reality. If you're crying on the internet because the men you're attracted to won't pay your high price, that's on you. The delusion is unreal. You can't land a high-value man, so you default to shaming them like a teenager. According to her logic, a man making $250,000 a year who doesn't bend over backward for her isn't high value. Sweetie, you're older, lonely, and competing with younger women for a high-earning man. He's the prize, not you. Bitter and angry is exactly what you sound like, sweetheart. If you can't lock down a high-value man, maybe it's because you're reaching for someone out of your league. Let's be real. She's tired of being the side chick, never the main. The high-value men she wants. They'll take her out, smash, and sell her the dream she's desperate to buy because she's only in the for recreational use only category.
The mother of a 7-year-old little girl was tragically killed in a car crash. Well, after her death, her parents stepped up and took custody of the little girl. The reason why they did was because the dad wasn't around. He hadn't been around in about 6 years. As a matter of fact, that little girl wouldn't know him if he walked in the room. He had paid child support throughout her life, but that's about it. Hadn't really had anything at all to do with her. The grandparents, however, had played a significant role in this child's life. So after about 2 or 3 weeks, they went to a lawyer's office and said, hey, what do we need to do to make sure that we're covering all our bases, that we can enroll her in school, take her to the doctor, that the dad won't pop up at some point and say, I want her. What do we need to do? Well, the lawyer said, let's go ahead and file a case in court, in juvenile court, and ask for custody of the child. It's called the dependent neglect case. So that's what they did. But in doing so, they had to put the father on notice of that case. He had to be given notice. In other words, he had to be told and presented with the papers that they had filed in court. And when he was, guess what? He popped up and said, hey, I want custody of my daughter, even though he hadn't seen her in 6 years. The grandparents were devastated. The lawyer told him, hey, there's not going to be much we can do. If he wants custody, he's probably going to get custody. You know, parents have a superior parental right to their children. If one parent dies, then the other parent automatically gets custody of that child unless it can be proven in court that that parent poses a substantial risk of harm to that child. In this case, they couldn't do that. And even though dad had not seen that child in 6 years, he could get custody of that child because of the doctrine of superior parental rights. What do you think about that in this case? Do you think the grandparents should have gotten custody, or do you think it's okay that the father comes up after 6 years and can get custody of the child?
This situation is heartbreaking and complicated, especially when a child's well-being is at stake. The death of a parent, especially under such tragic circumstances like a car accident, brings up all sorts of difficult issues: custody, child support, and the role of extended family like grandparents. Here's the thing. When a father has been paying child support and has shown an effort to be part of his child's life, he deserves a say in what happens next, especially after the mother's passing. Fathers often face barriers when trying to be involved, sometimes due to difficult dynamics with the mother. Some fathers choose peace over constant conflict, which might make them seem less present, but it doesn't mean they care any less about their child. If this father has been absent for a period like the 6 years he mentioned, there could be reasons behind it. Maybe the mother made it challenging for him to be involved, or perhaps he was dealing with personal struggles. But that doesn't automatically make him unfit to have custody of his child. In cases like this, where the father is the surviving parent, the law typically sides with him unless there's clear evidence that he's unfit. The bond between the child and their grandparents is important too. And if they've been a significant part of the child's life, some form of split custody or visitation rights makes sense. Ultimately, the focus should be on what's best for the child, a stable, loving environment, whether that's primarily with the father, the grandparents, or a combination of both. If the father has been kept at a distance by the mother's actions, now is the time for him to step up and assert his rights, showing that he's ready and willing to take on the responsibility of raising his child. It's a tough situation, but the priority should always be the child's well-being, ensuring they have the support and love they need from all the adults who care about them.